Authentic cocktail conversations, candid insights from startup founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders from around the globe.
Hi, my name is Fritsch. I am originally from North Carolina and I live and work in New York City. My company is called Coaching Collective and we do boutique change management for mid-market firms who are most of the time in rapid expansion mode. So most of my clients are CEOs, and the biggest challenges I see among them is that they have employed certain techniques to get to the level of success they've achieved. So they have a thriving business anywhere between $10 and $50 million. Like, yeah, they're doing well. But in order to take their business to the next level, they actually have to deconstruct a lot of the stuff that made them successful in the first place. They can no longer be workaholics. They can no longer be micromanagers. They can no longer be kind of the mean guy in the office. They actually have to change who they are as leaders in order to go to the next level. And I think that that affects a lot of their identity and is one of the biggest obstacles to the growth of their companies. And that's why you see a lot of CEOs get removed as their companies grow, because they don't actually grow too. They don't do the internal work that's required for the external. Okay, so the work that I get to do with clients on a one-on-one basis, even if it's within the context of a larger company, is really about finding the next level of success. And the people that I work with and have the privilege to work with are already super achievers, right? They've already done a lot of things that people really admire. They're like on the board of the Department of Defense. They're the CEO of a company that makes millions of dollars. They have like 5 houses. They have made it. For all intents and purposes, they have made it. And yet they also know that they are rolling at like 4th gear, right? And they know that they can crank it up, but they're not quite sure how. And at its core, aren't we all just a little afraid of how awesome we are? So a lot of the process that I get to go through with these amazing, amazing people who are leaders in our world is helping them really become comfortable with the next big vision. They all have massive goals that are typically about leaving a legacy and giving back in a major, major way. And oftentimes that requires a really huge, massive vision, and it requires other people. And often my clients don't like to rely on other people. So it's a matter of getting them comfortable with themselves, growing, and then reaching out to other people for support as they do the growth that's going to give them the results that they're looking for. From a methodology standpoint, what does that really look like? I don't like to talk a lot about it, but what it involves is a lot of time together. We spend a lot of time together. I get to know my clients. We spend a lot of time outside, often eating. We like to eat. And it's about really getting authentic and stripping them down to the elemental pieces of who they are and how they like to do business, and making sure that everything that we're doing is in alignment with their values. Because if it's not, then it's not going to feel right, and then they're not going to get the results they're looking for in their businesses or in their personal lives. So as long as we know what the values are, we can act according to those values, make sure, again, that every person in their company and their lives knows what those values are about, then we get to grow and get the result. So, how do you answer the work-life balance question? I think this is particularly important for women. I will go on the record and say that a lot of the men I work with are really adept at taking vacations. They like go to the golf course. They will go down, deep sea fishing with the dudes. It's the women I see who have a much harder time putting down the iPhone and stepping away. And I would actually like to bring in the concept that I learned from this amazing entrepreneur named Manish. I'm going to totally butcher his last name, so I'm not going to try, but he's got a concept called live in the gray. And it's the same thing that Tony Hsieh says. It's that we want to integrate our lives. We don't want work over here and life over here, and they have to do this weird scale balance thing. No, it's really about how can we bring things together. And I espouse that too. There are days when I need to take a nap and when I need to go to a yoga class more than respond to some emails. And so I make sure that I have time in my day to do that. I also have days or nights where I'm working till 1 o'clock in the morning just because that's when I have energy and the drive to do something, and that's okay too. So I think what we're going to start to see is an integration of work and life. And that feels a lot more comfortable and fluid for people. It's not about having an either and an or. It's about having a both and. But it's also about being present to whatever it is you're doing in that moment. If I am working, I am working. If I am playing, I am playing. And I don't want to try to, play while I'm checking my iPhone, because that's really complex if I'm trying to hit a tennis ball and, I'm in between plays, I'm running over to look at the iPhone. That's silly. So I like to be very present to whatever I'm doing, and I like to have fun at work, and I like sometimes for my play to be productive, and that's okay. How can entrepreneurs set aside their schedules to get inspired even though they have hectic lives? I think that's a fabulous question. And there are a couple ways that I think that entrepreneurs can nurture and nourish their creative juices. Okay, number one is space. You must have space where you can put visual things up that inspire you. I think, we're creatures who have eyes. We have eyeballs. We see things all the time. And we're inundated by all these other visual stimuli. If you're a creative person, you need to have things in front of your face that inspire you. So make sure that you have space for that. I also think space is more of like kind of a philosophical thing. Make sure that you're not so overscheduled in your day that you're constantly running. There's been a study in, what book is it? It's around neuroscience that the aha moments, the amazing inventions, the Post-it note, they didn't come out of the days that we were like working so hard trying to solve problems. They came out of those days when they were like, oh, hey, 3M employees, go work on some random project, and boom, Post-it notes. They come when you're in the shower. They come when you're driving in the car. They come when you're just taking a walk down the street and not thinking about your next, meeting or client or transaction. So make sure that you have space for serendipity. You have space for aha moments. And that happens when you're not this close to your problem. Another way to foster innovation and creativity is to actually work on something that you're not so great at. So I regularly actually take out, I'm a decent artist, but I'm not like, whoa. And so I take out the paint and I just like play, and maybe I'm going to draw something that I saw in a magazine, so I'll tear out a piece of paper from the magazine and like try to draw that. But I practice that, and that's going to get me into a meditative state where, those aha moments can come, but also it's just really fun, and it's good for me to do something that works out my brain in a different way than it's being worked, and it's just really enjoyable. So, and one more. Make sure that you are reading things and absorbing pieces of information that are coming from places that are obscure, that you don't usually look at. Some people get a little overwhelmed by the information thing. I myself went on a complete media fast for 1.5 years, and it was fabulous. I highly recommend it. If you're not going on a media fast, but you want to curate your information, find a service that does that for you. They exist out there. If you have questions about that, tweet me at Magnuson Factor. I'll give you some. But it's a way to open your brain to things that are happening in other cultures around the world, articles, videos, songs, pieces of art, so that you can start to be percolating on things that are not in your tech bubble or your e-commerce bubble or your finance bubble. And those things I think are crucial for people who want to be on the cutting edge of innovation.